Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend D.G. Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/CapesandLunatics. Hope to see you there.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an electric mullet. Where he flies alone. Hello, kids, and welcome back to another episode of Electric Mullet, the Superman podcast. I am Phil. Joining me is, well, no one. That's right. Seems both of my co-hosts, Tyler and Justin, are both under the weather. So, yes. And again, we record these a little earlier. So, by the time you hear this, everyone should be up and healthy and back again. So, but that's all right. I want everyone healthy for the 50th episode. So we should have Tyler. We should have Justin. We might even have a surprise guest for me. So. All right. So, well, just got me rambling at you this time, but I got a lot to talk to you people about. I've got a lot of problems with you people. That's all right. So, yes, we got 5, count them. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, 4, might have 6. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3. No, we got 5 issues tonight. I was going to say, I don't have 6, do I? All right, so let's jump into this because, again, we got 2 issues of Superman, 1 Adventures of Superman, 1 Action Comics, and 1 Captain Atom issue. That's right. All right, so, again, since I have nobody to BS with, let's jump right in. All right. And let's try this because it should look nice when I share the covers for now on. Yeah, look at that. No unsightly window around the issue cover. Yeah, that's right. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so the first one is not Adventures. Superman, Volume 2, number 45 from July 1990. Native Sons. Writer and penciler Jerry Ordway. Inker Dennis Jank. Colors Glenn Whitmore. Letterer John Costanza. And editors Mike Carlin and Jonathan Peterson. Near Smallville, an Odo shaman named Firewolf performs an ancient ritual to summon the spirit of the Great Wolf, granting him mystic abilities. Meanwhile, some Odo Native Americans hold Pete Ross hostage, demanding to have their lands returned. Superman pays a visit to Ma and Pa Kent. He tells them that he started a relationship with Lois Lane, but they encourage him to talk with Lana about it, given how rough things have been between them lately. Their reunion is interrupted by a big explosion in town. Superman flies to the scene and finds a great fireball with the shape of a wolf, but the shaman has things under control. He commands the policemen to hold their fire while he discusses with the fellow Odo Native Americans inside the building. The deal is done between the Odo Nation and a mining company to offer the Odo Native Americans employment and profits as a guarantee for their lands. After the affair is over, Clark and Lana talk about their relationship. Lana is angry at first, but she comes to terms and accepts things will be different between them from now on. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, Jimmy Olsen visits his mother, who is in a catatonic state in the hospital, but he can't communicate with her. On his way home, he finds Jerry White, who works at an old church that's been turned into a nightclub. Boy, we're really going to hit you on the head with things about coming next episode, kids, for our 50th episode. Like that nightclub? All right. So, and again, this is a 1990 issue. So if you do read this, they do refer to the Native Americans as Indians, as they used to do. So, they even mention. All right. And every issue, like Superman issue, like this one, and like the next 2, had like an extra 8-page bonus in the month, July 1990. But the main story, okay. And again, it's just again, we have Superman battling not even battling, but just kind of like trying to make sure this old man doesn't hurt anybody in town with his Firewolf. But the big thing that gets me in this issue, and again, it's come up before, but why is Lana so mad that, I mean, maybe she feels like Clark's been toying with her, stringing her along and stuff, until something better comes along. But I'm like, if they dated at all, wasn't it in high school? It's been a while. And it seems like, and again, we even did it during like Last Sun and, the Krypton Man stuff. But it almost seems like Lana's always the one who's like, oh, hey, better give me a kiss, and it's just like, well, as far as I know, Clark has been teasing you with like any romantic, but I don't know. But again, maybe she's just mad because she was hoping it was her. And again, love interest will be coming up here for Lana soon. Oh, hey, look who's in this issue, Pete Ross. But yeah, it's just weird because like Lana, like she even slaps Superman when he tells her, he's in a relationship with Lois. I'm like, wouldn't she have hurt her hand? Because they put the slap sound effect on the panel because shouldn't she have hurt her? So she did slap, it wasn't like a light tap. So shouldn't she have hurt her hand? But I don't know. So then, but they kind of work it out in the end. Lana says she has to deal with moving on, but again, it's like, he wasn't a jerk to her. He's Superman, but I guess she just feels like, what? Maybe she's gone through enough stuff because of him, between the Eradicators, the Manhunters, and Luthor and everything. But that wasn't Clark's fault. And again, there was a decent story in here about land rights between like the citizens of Smallville and the Native Americans, but then some of the younger generation of the Native Americans, they were like, no, we want any of these big businesses coming in. We want our, we don't mind working with them, but we want our share of the profits and stuff. So even Firewolf's like, I've lost all, sense of the old way. Well, the young generation has lost sense of the old ways. Maybe I'm just too old, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I don't think we see Firewolf again, unless I forgot. And again, in true mystic character creation style, he disappears in a burst of flame. So, all right. Then we got, like I said, some of these have 8-page extra this month, and we get Jimmy Olsen's diary in this. It's basically just some of it's like recapping stuff we've already seen. Like he has the newspaper clip from when Clark saved the space plane originally, like back during the Man of Steel miniseries and saving Lois. Then there's some weird thing about him and some little girl he went to school with when he was in grade school. But then, oh yes, the girl he went to school with, when she grew up, she took some sleeping pills, and he basically helped save her. And I guess figure out a way to send an SOS to Superman, which was a precursor to the Signal Watch. Then he has a whole page about Lucy Lane. Boy, look at this. He's all like, I guess he's given up on the dream of Cat Grant. So, which again, he was bouncing back and forth. Oh, and then there's a whole thing about when Clark wasn't feeling like himself. And oh, look, I snapped a picture of Clark Kent and Superman at the same time. So yes, kids, that was the whole Matrix thing. So kind of recap that, the whole time around exile, and then there's the whole thing with his dad when he was looking for him. Then he talks about the Guardian and Cadmus, and then he's talking about Jerry, and I think he's talking about the church. So yes, we're going to get to that next episode, kids, for our big episode 50. So again, everyone should be back, and hopefully have a few extra people, at least one or two. All right. So yeah, that was that issue. Let's see. So the next one's a big one. We were talking about this for the last month or two, but it's going to set the stage for a lot of stuff coming up here, kids. Well, at least not till Reign of the Supermen, but all right, let me get this cover because we're going to jump to Adventures of Superman 468. Yeah, look at that. If you remember issue 466, you may know where I'm going with this. So this is the next issue. Adventures of Superman 468, July 1990. The Outcast. Once again, the writer and penciler are the same person, but this time it's Dan Jurgens, who again was a friend of the show when he came on to talk to me and Kristen. Well, came to talk about his Nightwing run and a few other things. So,
hi, this is Dan Jurgens, and you are listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Should at the beginning episode. So yes, he's the writer and penciler, inker Art Thibert, colorist Glenn Whitmore, letterer Albert de Guzman, and editors Mike Carlin and Jonathan Peterson. A few weeks after his apparent death, the late Hank Henshaw mutates into a being of pure electronic energy and is disrupting electronics and communications across the Atlantic coast. Hank creates a mechanical body made of electronic parts and visits his wife in a NASA training facility outside Metropolis. Superman traces the source of the disruption and confronts the robot, discovering it's Hank Henshaw. He wants to be with his wife again, but his presence left her in a catatonic state. Realizing he put people's lives in danger and harmed the woman he loves, Hank's energy leaves the scene and attaches to the Kryptonian matrix chamber Superman left floating in Earth's orbit. With no other purpose to stay on Earth, Hank crafts a small rocket and flies off to space to learn about the universe. Alright, so as you may notice, I am reading pretty much all of these on art in floppy form because, yes, there's I think it was it Adventures before, but this time we have a gap in the Action Comics, which I believe will last until about Crisis of the Crimson Kryptonite, anyone? That's another good storyline. I can't wait to get to that. So yeah, this one starts, we see some electronics kind of like flying across the room and reforming itself into like a robotic body in the LexCorp lab. Wonder what happened here like 2 issues back. So this thing knocks out a janitor and then shambles away, saying something like, "I'm only interested in what remains of my life." Then meanwhile in Kansas, I guess Clark must have stayed the night or whatever with his parents because he's basically just swimming in the creek that runs along the property, and then he's talking to his mother outside as she's hanging the laundry, and then calls Lois to make sure they're still on for her to fly out to meet his parents tonight. Then his father says, there's something weird on the radio. He said there's some kind of weird communications blackout on the East Coast. It's like the whole region dropped into the Atlantic. So Clark grabs his suit, flies back to the East Coast. And then advanced NASA training facility. We see Terry Henshaw, Hank's wife. She's basically in a catatonic state after everything that happened in 466. But then Hank comes to her in his robotic form, and she's all freaked out, and this is doing nothing for her mental state. So he leaves. He basically shoots his, his mind, or is it the whatever electronic essence is left of his life into the outlet. Meanwhile, Superman's busy saving airplanes from crashing together because all the air traffic control. Nobody can talk to the planes. But then he sees Lois on the street and makes a mistake about saying, "Oh, I'll see you tonight," and she's like, "No, I can't. I'm supposed to be in Smallville, but I can't be there either." So, and we'll find out where she's going in the Action Comics issue. So, back at the NASA lab, we see the Hank Henshaw reforms a new body, and he's talking to these people who work there. And then Superman uses super hearing to try to find the source of the disturbance, which leads him to the lab and Hank. He's shocked when he discovers this is Hank Henshaw. And he's like, "Oh, great. We can, we can find maybe someone that, maybe build you a new body or do something." But then Hank hears from Terry's doctor that not only has he done more harm than good to Terry, but yes, his energy is he's the source of all these blackouts, but it's not intentional. So he shoots himself into the computers, and then one of the NASA guys tells Superman, "Oh yeah, he beamed himself into space from our satellite dish." So, and he shoots it up to the lab that Superman put in orbit, where Metallo was built, all the way back in Superman. Superman #1, Volume 2, kids. So yeah, So 5 months ago? Yeah. And it seems Hank has beamed himself into the Matrix chamber that brought Superman to Earth. And he fashions a little pod that it's going to hold his consciousness. And he says he's going to explore the universe because without Terry, there's nothing left for him on Earth. Superman tries to stop him, and then Hank gives him a little shock enough to get away. And so remember this, kids, when we get to Reign of the Supermen, especially issue 78, Superman. Anyway, so, but the whole thing with Hank gives Clark the idea that, oh, hey, maybe I should lock up the Matrix chamber I was brought to Earth in. So he takes it to the fortress in Antarctica, and then we see him kind of recording a journal, and of course he's recording it in Kryptonian, so just in case. And like we said, once again, we see Jimmy and Lucy run into Jerry White, who's running a errand for the owner of the new nightclub that's been created in this church. Blazes, remember that name? But yes, Jerry's errand, running a brown paper bag from one place to another. Because that can't be creepy or shady or anything. So, and then we see Clark waiting at the airport in Kansas for Lois, but then he finds out she never even boarded the plane in Metropolis. So he's all down on himself, thinking, "Oh no, I forgot. I messed up. I gave her a chance to spend time with Superman other than Clark, and she must have chosen Superman." So that's the end of that one. And then the 8 pages in this one are basically the journal we kind of saw Clark writing when he was at the fortress. It goes into the history of Krypton, how his parents sent him to Earth, and then how Ma and Pa found him in that field. A lot of early stuff here about him growing up on the farm with his parents, his power slowly developing, meeting Lana, and then becoming Superman, and then his life in Metropolis with the people with the Daily Planet and Gangbuster and Emil Hamilton and Guardian, and then we get a page on his enemies, Lex and Metallo, Brainiac, Time Trapper, Mxyzptlk. We even get a thing about the Pocket Universe because he goes into the death of the 3 Kryptonian villains. Then we see the whole thing with how he became Gangbuster, how he went off into space and fought on War World, and the whole Krypton Man thing. He does this really well. Then he gets into Lois at the end here, and how how's this relationship going to progress since he's Superman. The only thing, and again, I'm sure it was fine back when this was first printed, but over 30 years later, they put it on a green screen, kind of like an old, the computers used to have green screens, kids. But as time wears on, it's harder to read that, but that's probably the print fading over time. Maybe, I don't know if that's part of the reason that, no, I can't say that. This is on the app. Yeah, it's the Action Comics that's on the app. All right, so that's the second one. And again, like I said, that's the last we'll see of Hank Henshaw for a while. We won't see him till 1993. So about another 3 years, give or take a few months either way. All right, now let's get to Action Comics. All right, we're almost there. 3. All right, this will be number 3 of 5. All right. All right, so action. See, there's Lois. Does she have a good excuse for not meeting Clark at the airport? She hangs off the top of a truck. She's about to fall off. All right. That's right, kid. She's chasing a story. She didn't pick Superman over Clark. She's chasing down a story. All right. Action Comics 655 from July 1990. Survival! ! Writer Roger Stern, penciler Bob McLeod, inker Brett Breeding, colors Glenn Whitmore, and letterer Bill Oakley. Lois Lane chases a story and follows the trail of some army munitions thieves to their base of operations they call the Habitat. Clark notices her absence because they were to meet on a date that same night. So he decides to investigate and follows the trail. He finds a note with the name Jake Munson on Lois's desk. Sergeant Munson is the man who passed the info to Lois about the military hardware gear gone missing, and is tips leader to Route 100. Superman follows the trail on Route 100 and reaches the secret base. Inside Habitat, the militia holds Lois Lane prisoner, and the man in charge explains they found that abandoned settlement and used it to create a secret army in preparation for the nuclear holocaust. Superman breaks inside the settlement and quickly disarms all of their weapons, rescuing Lois. The next morning, Lois is ordered to omit the existence of Habitat in her article due to its connection with a classified project, which Project Cadmus kids. So Lois leaves the building to continue with her date with Clark. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen takes Lucy Lane on a date to Jerry White's new nightclub built on an old church, but Lucy is uncomfortable and disgusted by the place, so she leaves Jimmy at the club. All right. So yeah, I know Lois. At the end, Lois is kind of mad because the government's pressuring Perry and the planet. But like, oh yeah, no, you can write up the story, just don't mention Habitat because again, I believe it was it the Forever People or somebody or one of the mad scientists at the project. But as it's connected to Cadmus, so the government doesn't want to mention it want no trace of Cadmus. But they're like, hey, you can write up the rest of the story. So I don't know why Lois just can't write up, leave the details vague about, and again, I know all great reporters don't want to be censored, but just leave the location vague, I guess, and just say, okay, here's what happened. These guys were stealing army munition. But yeah, we see her kind of like following the trail of these smugglers at the beginning, and she even dives on the top of this van they're using. She's about to jump off this hill or this little cliff onto the top of the van. She's considering it, and then she has a memory of her father, General Lane. When she, as a kid, she's on top of this high diving board. He's like, "What are you waiting for, chump?" He's like, "Could I get one of the boys get up there and show you?" So yes, we see more Sam Lane, tough love from Sam Lane here. And then Clark's still where we left the last issue. He's at the airport. But this time, instead of jumping to conclusions, yes, he's on a payphone. Yes, kids, we used to have phones in public that you put change in and you can make calls. But yeah, so she's calling around and he can't find her at the planet. She's been out all afternoon. None of her friends have seen her. There's no answer at her apartment, her parents, or her sisters. Ma says she didn't call Smallville. So Clark decides to change to Superman and try to find her. And then page 4, it says, it's a good distance from Wichita, Kansas to Metropolis. So swiftly flies the Man of Steel that it reaches the eastern city, even as the last echo of his sonic boom faints out over the Midwest. So yeah, he traveled pretty quick, kids, from the Midwest. Again, they always keep it vague with the locations of like Metropolis and Gotham, but it sounds like it's somewhere on the East Coast. So yeah, he's pretty much boomed from the Midwest to the East Coast. Like they said, he hits Metropolis before the sonic boom even died down over Kansas. So that's when he decides to fly to the planet. But yeah, he's like, no heat signatures by her desk. No one's been there by her desk in the chair for at least 6 hours. That's where he sees Jake Munson's name and phone number on her pad there, and he flies over Blazes like, ooh. He gets this odd feeling, which we will explore more next episode. Yeah, Blazes Club is weird. It looks like there's flames everywhere, and yes, someone's trying to make this look like hell. And Jerry's like dressed in a red tuxedo, and again, Lucy's disgusted, so she just walks out and leaves Jimmy there. Clark finds Munson in a bar. And then Munson doesn't want to tell him anything at first till Clark picks him up out of the booth he's sitting at. But Munson's like, I can't talk here. Let's talk behind the bar. So they're out back, and Clark says she was supposed to meet me. She never showed up. And Munson's like, yeah. He's put her onto this story about a lot of military hardware going missing, service revolvers, helicopter parts. But he said last he talked to Lois was this morning. She said she figured that she figured there was a truck convoy and she was going to find it. That's when Superman flies up Route 100, finds Lucy Lane's car sitting pretty much at the spot where Lois jumped off of, and because he says he knows Lois borrows her car sometimes. So then Lois is still hanging on to the top of this van until the group goes they literally have a tunnel underground, and that's when she sees they've come to Habitat. But then when she jumps off the van, the guys see her. She starts knocking some of them around, dives under the van, starts shooting back at them. But then I don't know why you run inside this structure, but she runs in and finds the boss, who has a connection to a former story here. So Clark's trying to follow the heat trail, but it's fading. But then he sees the tracks go off the road and head towards Habitat. And he's like, "That's the only thing out there." So there's this guy Morrison, who's basically he's the son of he's the son of John Morrison, who was the what was his rank? But he was a military man who, if you guys may remember from the Adventures of Superman 439, that's the one where Jimmy and Kat had been taken hostage and tortured by this military guy because they had gotten too close to his, the little revolution or whatever he was starting to save the country. But that's the one where Superman's like, "I've been turned into a robot." But I was hanging around with Lois and Clark, and then we later find out, oh no, Superman built this robot, or I think Hamilton built it for emergencies in case Superman wasn't around, like he was at the time until Clark showed up. But remember that that experiment didn't go too well. Because she's yelling at Morrison's son. She has another flashback with her father till Superman comes literally busting in the Habitat and throwing these soldiers around. But then Lois pulls a gun on Morrison and says, "I got this, Superman. You take out everybody else." So basically just goes through these guys and disarms them either with heat vision or crushing their guns in his bare hands. But then the cavalry shows up, and Lois has all these soldiers at gunpoint for the authorities taken. But again, that's when the government tells them, "Oh no, you can't talk about Habitat." So that happens. But then, Lois is pleasantly surprised to find Clark has gone and brought Lucy's car back for her. He's like, "Oh, Superman told me you're on the case, on a story." And then she's happy at the very end, at the last panel, she gives him a kiss on the cheek. And then this is the last issue with the 8-page backup. So this is the infamous Ma Kent photo album, which I believe has been the subject of many previous stories here. Almost gave everything away, but we see when the Kents quote unquote adopt, that was pre-crisis here. There's a big snowstorm, blizzard, coincidentally, when Clark lands. So by the time they can get off the farm, it's they're like, "Oh hey, we had this baby in the middle of this blizzard." So they pass Clark off as their biological son. But then there's all these pictures like of Clark when he was a year old, and at some point, when he was a kid, I don't know if he broke his arm or whatever when he fell out of a tree. Yep, it was only a fracture, but his powers really haven't kicked in yet. And then his old dog Rusty. And then pictures from elementary school, and then Clark at Lana Lang's 8th birthday party. Him and Pete Ross fishing. And then his days as a football star, as his powers start kicking in. Him and Lana were king and queen of the prom. Then after high school, as we know, Clark starts traveling the world and helping out on the sly. But then he goes to the University of Metropolis. Oh, we also get the people he worked with at that diner. Remember when he was going to the college? So I believe we did cover that in World of Metropolis. Mr. Balducci and Ruby Carson. Oh, and then he meets Lori Lamaris. And then, Hit Paw comes out and they talk about, how about all the stuff we could have put in here that we don't even have pictures of, like when they first found Clark and when his powers start kicking in, all the stuff he could do. And then just the whole patting themselves on the back. Boy, we did a good job raising this alien boy. So, yes. And again, I guess in those 3 issues, we got 8 extra pages this month. Still only 75 cents, kids. 75 cents. Those were the days, kids. Back when money meant something. All right, so 3 down, 2 to go. All right, I think we'll save the Captain Atom for last. I think that comes last. All right, so we'll get to the last regular Superman book. And again, I thought it was only going to be those 3, but yeah, we're going to add that squeeze in 4 because next time's going to be kind of packed. There's going to be at least 4 issues there. So, all right, and we got guest stars this time, who we see them on the cover, but they don't even get mentioned. Jade and Obsidian of Infinity Inc. Both of them children of Alan Scott, the Golden Age Green Lantern. And if you like Green Lanterns, make sure you listen to myself and Will Allred on this podcast every Friday on Sector 2814, the Green Lantern podcast. All right, so we'll get to Superman, Volume 2, number 46, August 1990, The World of Tomorrow. Team up this time, right? This time, Jerry Ordway writing, Dan Jurgens penciling. Inkers Dennis Jank and Jerry Ordway. Colors Glenn Whitmore, letterer John Costanza, because he's always here. And editors Mike Carlin and Jonathan Peterson. Clark Kent and Lois Lane attend an exposition of the biosphere, an environmentally self-sufficient city of the future, when suddenly they are attacked by Tobias Manning, an eco-terrorist and his henchmen. Obsidian and Jade, who were hired to make the visual effects of the exposition, try to apprehend the attackers. Superman intervenes and realizes the henchmen are robots, so he disables them. Manning escapes by creating a tornado. Superman goes back to his Clark Kent clothes and reunites with Lois, continuing their date in Kansas. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen keeps meeting with Jerry White, at his new nightclub, Blazes, but Lucy Lane breaks up with him. The hell you say? The hell you say? Oh yeah, it's coming, kids. Oh yeah. All right, so I mean, again, I'm surprised they didn't say, "Oh, hey, special guest stars, Infinity Inc.'s Jade and Obsidian." But yeah, we see the whole pitch here because they basically hired Jade to use her energy powers. Basically, she's a Green Lantern, but her powers are biological. She doesn't need the power ring, but to make all the visuals for this presentation about the environment and everything. And it's so funny. Some things never change. Because Lois is telling Clark, after his presentation, our priorities are screwy. We cringe at the cost of cleaning up our air and water, and we'll gladly spend millions developing the next state-of-the-art photo projection system. Which, again, Lois thinks this is a 3D projection system, but it's actually Jade. But then basically they're doing it for the money. And then Obsidian has a quick, if you don't know who they are, he's thinking to himself about Infinity Inc. and who they teamed up with Northwind, Fury, Silver Scare, Brainwave, and Nucleon. Either inspired by the heroes of the 40s and 50s or actually descendants of heroes from the 40s and 50s. So yeah, basically, I believe this is the first appearance we get of Tobias Manning is actually the Terra-Man, an old Silver Age villain. I believe this is the first time we see him post-Crisis, but him and his robots start tearing it up. So first Clark thinks Jade and Obsidian can handle it, but then when people start getting hurt, he changes to Superman. And again, they have to stop Terra-Man. He makes this tornado. I think so. His powers must come from this suit he's wearing. Obsidian kind of disrupts the suit with his shadow powers, and it looks like Obsidian's torn apart, but he reforms himself. But they can't find Terra-Man. And again, at the end, Superman chases back to Clark, meets up with Lois, and then have a very passionate kiss under the fireworks in Smallville. So, yep, that whole relationship's heating up, kids. And again, the whole Jimmy Olsen thing again, he's spending way too much time with Jerry Olsen. Oh, that's right, kids. Yeah. Wait till next episode. I cannot hype that enough. Episode 50, just coincidental timing. Yeah, something big happens up for episode 50. All right. All right, Dan, let's get to this last issue here. Again, kind of dropped it in here. It probably could have showed up an episode or two from now, but again, it's a Superman guest stars and Captain Atom, and again, they really don't give you much in the way of continuity. So Superman you can almost place this anywhere around this time. So probably why I did this. All right, so yes, let's get to this Captain Atom. And again, I'll try to explain as best I can, but it's been a few years since I read the whole Captain Atom series. All right. Again, I always try to throw in the guest star books. All right. And again, it'll be by different teams. So there we go. So yeah, the last one tonight, Captain Atom, Volume 2, number 46, from October 1990, Men of Steel. Writers Cary Bates and Greg Wiseman. Penciler Michael Adams. Inker Romeo Tangle. Colors Gene D'Angelo. Letterer John Workman. And editor Kelly Puckett. Captain Atom and Major Force are abducted via teleportation and are imprisoned on a spaceship on the moon. Yeah, kids, in the previous issue, Captain Atom and Major Force disappear. So then you don't get any explanation till now. So they are placed in stasis along with many other prisoners taken from other planets. Also among the prisoners is Superman. Nate breaks free by changing back to his human form after he realized that the spherical devices nearby are specifically jamming his brain and rendering him paralyzed in his Captain Atom form. He then breaks Superman free. Superman is about to free the other prisoners, but Nate tells him not to, as they will likely cause more trouble, especially with the volatile Major Force. Instead, Nate and Superman opt to explore their surrounding and find out who abducted them. However, the two are soon recaptured via teleportation and confronted by their abductor, a towering crystalline alien known as Clystar. The alien referred to Nate, Superman, and the other prisoners as galactic weapons and launches his ship into outer space. Superman tries to reason with Clystar that he and the others are not weapons but sentient beings. But Clystar sees no difference as he sees them as weapons programmed for intelligent and independent thought, and he chose Superman, Captain Atom, and Major Force for being the most powerful weapons from their planet. Realizing that there is no point to reason with Clystar, Superman agrees with Nate's direct approach and punch their way out of their confinement before heading to free the prisoners. Clystar uses his technology to once again transport Nate and Superman to a sealed chamber where he will personally reprogram them of their flaws. By fighting them in hand-to-hand combat, Captain Atom and Superman are thoroughly thrashed by their warden until they coordinate together in beating Clystar. The warden stops fighting and realizes he had made a mistake. Clystar releases the prisoners and explains to everyone that he had been seeking to gather sentient weapons from across space to liberate his home planet and his people from a tyrannical dictatorship. Now he realizes that sentient weapons also deserve freedom, and he plans to return them to their respective planets, but is still offering them to remain in return for good treatment and glorious battle. Much to Nate's surprise, Major Force agrees to join in Clystar's quest rather than to remain with General Eiling and escaping from having his kill switch activated. With that, everyone except for Force and two others are teleported away. As there are only 3 weapons on board, Clystar acknowledges that he needs more preparation by conquering the galaxy. Major Force is thrilled with Clystar's new plan. Superman and Nate teleport to the roof of the Daily Planet. Before they part ways, Superman tells Nate that while on Clystar's ship, he had seen his real face and requests to see it again. Nate is initially hesitant to reveal his secret identity, but relents. Then, to Nate's confusion, Superman instructs him to go down to the city room of the Daily Planet and stand there for 5 minutes, as he will be glad that he did. Nate follows his instructions and is surprised to see his daughter Peggy, who is working for the planet. Clark Kent had seen a picture, a picture in a frame of Nathaniel Adam on Peggy's desk and Henson's intentions to reunite father and daughter. Yeah. Oh, God. It's been a while since I read those Captain Adams. But yeah, there's been like tension and friction between Captain Adam and his children because, again, the whole experiment in issue 1 where he gets his powers and everything in the shiny skin kind of throws him forward in time too. He basically was, well, he's basically going to get court-martialed from the military if he didn't do it because I'm trying to remember, thinking he was accused of a crime he didn't commit and stuff. And then when he gets back, all kinds of weird stuff. Like his wife had remarried, like his commanding officer and stuff. But yeah, lots of tension with the kids. So, but yeah, so, I believe his daughter had run off somewhere and he couldn't find her, but now he's found her, so everything is fine. So that worked out well. And again, it's so weird that the vibe of this issue, because sometimes to me, and again, I haven't read the other Captain Adam issues in years, it almost seemed like a fill-in issue to me, but it kind of wasn't, because again, last issue we saw Captain Adam and Major Force teleported away, and again, Superman kind of helps move the story forward by basically reuniting Nate and his daughter. So yeah, I mean, good issue. Again, you might be a little confused if you had not read any other Captain Adam issues, but it was a good, well-written issue. Again, the art is different from all the Superman books, but still good. So yes, that is that. There's your 5 Superman books for the month. And again, episode 50 next week, big episode 50. Can you believe we're at 50 issues already, everyone? I know we can. All right, so let's open this up. I know what's coming, but I want to make sure I give you guys the right issues for homework. Please send us your thoughts, especially for the 50th episode. Again, we like to celebrate episodes that are divisible by 50. All right, so next time we are going to cover Adventures of Superman 468 and then Soul Search from Action Comics 656, Superman 47, and Adventures of Superman 470. Like I said, you don't want to miss Soul Search. We'll see a character named Blaze for the first time, connected to that church, that nightclub / church. And again, a supernatural enemy, so Superman can't just outmuscle it. And again, issue 4, Adventures 469 is not part of that story, but hopefully it'll draw in a Lilith Hellfire. 69 is her stock and trade. All right, so yes, please send us your thoughts on those. You can send your thoughts on these issues if you want. We'll always read stuff after the fact, and hopefully I didn't bore you too much, kids. So all right, so let's throw this up here. Hold on a second. Going to do that the old way, I think it'll work the new way. And again, you want to have all that stupid little stuff on the side there. All right, so sorry, kids. All right, let's see if that looks better. Oh, that looks a lot better. All right, kids. So yeah, send us your thoughts. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find every episode we've ever done pretty much at CapesLunatics.wordpress.com. You can help support us by buying merch at TeePublic and Spring. Again, new merch, classic merch, it's all there. And again, Lilith Hellfire demands more angry than any rampaging supervillain. Lilith Hellfire demands that you rain random money on us through our Cash App link.
Make it rain.
Capes and Lunatics. And of course, you can always help support us and get extra content for your money on our Patreon. Again, at least once a month, you're getting exclusive, uncensored content. And most importantly, if you are a Patreon patron, you can contact us and request topics for us to discuss. Doesn't have to be comic books, can be anything in the world. I just hope we're somewhat knowledgeable in the topic. But yes, you can write in, call in, and request us a topic for us to discuss. Doesn't matter what it is. So, because remember, kids, We want to entertain you, and of course,
We need the money. Gimme.
so you can subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/CapesandLunatics.
More vicious and brutal than ever.
And again, it's on the screen on the YouTube video, but if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, or you're just, I don't know, don't hit pause on this, you want this info, again, everything's in the show notes, every episode. So yeah, just however you're listening or watching this, just scroll down underneath, and yep, there's all the links in the show notes. So all right, and again, hopefully the boys should be back next time. Tyler, again, you can hear him talk more Superman at least twice a month on him and the Force of Nature, Mr. James Cole, on the Krypton Report podcast. And of course, yes, and then Justin, you can hear him. You hear him at least once a month on We Are the Night, the Batman podcast, also on this podcast feed. I can hear him here every so often on Electric Mullet. And then over on the Capes and Lunatics podcast, you hear me and him talking a bunch of Marvel weekly on either Marvel Tales or X-Men Classics, or both sometimes, once in a blue moon. One World Under Doom, and the Energon Universe podcast, where we talk all the new Transformers and G.I. Joe from Image Comics. I can hear him also once a month at the end of every month on the Ultimate Spider Cast with me and the Sausage King Ray himself. But also, you can also catch him on other podcasts without me, that cheater. But yes, you can catch him on these fine shows. Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is, where him and Russell and Josh, I think, talk the Hulk or She-Hulk. Predator and Prey, the Ucha podcast, where they talk all things Predator, him and Ray, and I believe it's Sparky. They talk the movies, the comics, all of it. And then the Lost Library of Legends, which is Justin's solo show, where he talks, I believe he's on the Malibu comics right now, and not always, but a good majority of his stuff, again, like a lot of us, is he talks a lot of 90s comics. So for an old man like us, it might be right up your alley. Or if you want to just learn about 90s comics, it's a great show to listen to.
Going back to the 90s here, bitch.
Which he usually does. All right, so I don't think I've talked this much in a long time. All right, so again, come back next time. Justin, Tyler, guys, get better soon. And yeah, next time, big episode 50. Don't want to miss it. We might even have a guest or two. But Soul Search, yeah, make sure you're here for Soul Search. That's a big one. Then we get Blaze. And then later on down the road, we'll meet her brother, Satanus. No, not to tease it too hard, but yes, next time, kids, a character dies. I know you hear that in comics all the time, but this character died in 1990 and has not come back. Yeah, not even through all the universal, multiversal crises. No. As far as I can remember, this character has never come back. So this is as close to a personal or permanent death as you can get. It might be permanent. Maybe they never bring him back. All right, come back next time and remember to join us for truth, justice, and the mullet.